It is high time we got here. Oh my gods. Hello, people of the internet. If you have not read The Tower of Nero by Rick Riordan, do not watch this. I will literally be talking about like every single thing that happened in this book. So please don't watch it. If you don't want to see spoilers, that is. If you want to see spoilers, go ahead right on through because I'm going to talk about everything that's in this book. I will be showing fan art in this video. Any of the artists that I could find, I will give credit, but if I found the art and could not find the artist, there will not be credit. I'm so sorry. I tried really hard. Links to all the artists that I do find will be below. It will be one of their social medias, likely either Tumblr or Twitter. Please go check them out. Also, I am so sorry if I am pronouncing anything wrong. There are a lot of Greek names in this book, so if I pronounce them wrong, I'm sorry. I'm trying my best. Rick Riordan, his name I know I'm pronouncing correctly. If you haven't seen the video of his Q&A on YouTube, it shows Rick pronouncing his last name correctly, so you should go check it out. Anyway, enough of all that stuff. Here are my thoughts and takeaways, and basically an entire review and synopsis of what happened in The Tower of Nero, the fifth and final book in the Trials of Apollo series by Rick Riordan, which is also the last series in the Camp Half-Blood Chronicles. This was very bittersweet. We all knew it was the last one going in, but it's still, oh, my heart. Yeah, anyway, let's get into this. I told you so! I told you so! I told people in the comment section of my 7 expectations and wants for this book that no one important is gonna die, sweeties. They're all safe. And people were like, we can't say anyone's 100% safe. And I'm like, okay, Rick's really going to kill off Percy, Annabeth, or Nico? Really? No. No, he's not gonna do that. Because if he did, a bunch of hardcore fans would find his location and threaten him, because that happens in fandoms now, and it's really, really bad and toxic. So not only would his life be in danger if he did that, but it also just wouldn't make any sense because we've gone through so many books with them that if he really wanted to kill him off, he would have done it already. I'm just saying, I called it. Look, no one important died except Apollo, and that was so he could be reborn, and I called that one too, so I told you so. I'm not gonna hold back rubbing in it because damn. Why would we kill them, really? It's a middle grade series. It's not some drastic thing like Divergent. Spoiler alert. Okay, anyway. Overall, the book, I felt like the beginning was very fast-paced, more fast-paced than usual for a Rick Riordan book, but it still worked very well. I don't know if there was just more like random filler stuff that maybe he cut out when he was editing the book, because I know he went back and edited it quite a bit. At the beginning, like the first, I think 6 or 7 chapters, I thought were very, very like bam, 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 like stuff happens and I was like, wow, okay. It wasn't until after that did we get peace periods of like one chapter is just like them sitting, talking, planning, gathering information. So it really like slowed down the pace to like more what I'm used to with Rick Riordan. I don't even know if you would consider that a complaint. I think observing like, oh, the beginning was pretty fast paced, but then like it kind of mellowed out, especially when he got to camp. The setup for this book, the plot line of it and everything that happened, it was very reminiscent of a lot of things that have happened in the Percy Jackson universe. And I really like that. One of the biggest examples I have of that is the very beginning, end of chapter 3. Okay, we have the first 2 chapters of Apollo like getting into shenanigans with Meg. Then he ends up in an alleyway. And then at the end of chapter 3, they decide to go to Percy Jackson's apartment. And that literally happened in the first book in this series, The Hidden Oracle. The first 2 chapters, I believe it is, Apollo is in an alleyway and then he goes to Percy Jackson's house. Except this time it's very different. In the first book, he's like, oh, he's a hero. He can help me. I need help. Please do everything for me. In this book, he's like, I do not want to mess with them. No. No. Leave them alone. They are precious. We need to wrap them in bubble wrap. Do not touch the Jackson/Blowfist family. Just little things like that you notice and it's like, oh, you're kind of like reflecting off of this thing that you did back then. Rick Riordan is a mastermind, I swear to the gods. I do wish we had been at Camp Half-Blood a little longer than we were in this book. I thought we would get a little more of that because it really kind of set up a hype like, oh, we need to go back to camp. We need to go back to New York, which, I mean, they're in New York this whole time except when he's fighting Python. But I spent only about 4 or 5 chapters there at camp. I know part of like one of the last chapters was also at camp, but I really miss it. I like that we did get to see it though. I'm not complaining about that. I wish he had touched more on other side campers that we had seen in the first book. I feel like they were really built up for like character development. Was it Sherman, Yang, and Valentina were like hinted at being set up as a couple or something? Was it both of I should have done my research before making this. And then the other demigod from Brazil, I'm really afraid I'm gonna butcher his name, so I just like don't even know if I want to say it. But like we didn't see him. I was really, really sad that he didn't even mention Connor or Travis, but he mentioned like new campers. Yeah, it's great that we know like, oh, there are these people at camp, but it's also like, can we know that the others that we're used to knowing about are alive still, please? Like, Connor and Travis stole Clarice because it's summer now. She should be done with her college semester. I know she was in college in Arizona. That would have been nice. We didn't see Hedge and Melly. I just realized. I was thinking that too when we got to the Piper part. Anyway, what was I talking about? It's okay because like they've had a lot of time to shine in past books, and this is kind of setting up for like, not that he's gonna write about it, but like the new age of demigods, because now the heroes we know, like the Seven and Clarice and Connor and Travis, they're all getting older and going off to college and finishing off high school and everything. Like their time is done. It makes it sound like they're really old, but they're not. You know, give other demigods a chance to shine. And that's why I really like that he focused a lot on Kayla and Austin, and he mentioned the new Apollo campers. That was really nice. He brought up Sherman Yang again. Lou Ellen and Cecil have kind of dropped off the map, and I'm low-key mad about it, but like, it's fine. Other campers that were also in the Hidden Oracle that weren't mentioned in this one, and I'm like, why'd you set up that whole environment in the Hidden Oracle and then you like didn't carry it? One of the rare times I have a little nitpicky thing about Rick Riordan material, but it's fine. This book was my second favorite in the series. The Hidden Oracle is my favorite, mostly because I love the setup of it. I loved how he introduced Solangelo. I loved how he did the whole setup like with camp. I loved how he set up Apollo and Meg. The wintertime feels, we don't really get to see Camp Half-Blood in the wintertime, and I really liked that. At the end, Leo came back. Everyone was ecstatic. Like, we got to see Rachel again. We got to see Percy fight. All these things just like kind of lined up, and it was very reminiscent of the Heroes of Olympus, which is probably why I liked it so much, because Heroes of Olympus is my favorite of the 5 big series that he's written. But with this last one, the Tower of Nero, I really liked how we got that feeling again. Like we had Will and Nico, which are now my favorite couple. I can't wait to talk about them. We had Rachel again. I really liked the battle at the tower. I really, really, really liked that battle. I loved the fast-pacedness of it, but it was also like, you kind of had a brief moment to breathe for half a chapter. Like he'd get healed by someone, or he would just kind of like be running around the building, like looking what's going on in the different rooms. I loved how it kept changing shot by shot. I'm talking as if this is like a movie, but it's not. It kept changing scene by scene, there we go, of the different characters. We had him in the control room, and then Nico found him, and then they went to like a conference room with the troglodytes, and then we had them go like to Kayla, and then to Austin, and then to another room with troglodytes. Like, I just kept moving, and I really liked that. I liked the battle in the throne room because you had Meg standing up for herself. You had Nico coming in like the badass he is. You had just the energy and chaos. Oh, the imagery that Rick Riordan uses is insane. I just love all his pop culture references. I love the humor. Oh my god. Oh, Rick Riordan humor is... I live for Rick Riordan's humor. Oh. But yeah, it was very well done, which made the battle with Python to me seem extremely less amusing and entertaining compared to that, because the tower battle took a lot longer. Like, I think the Python battle took max 4 chapters. But yeah, I like the tower battle better than the Python battle. I was really sad to lose the Arrow of Dodona. That was, oh man. But I liked how he went back at the end to the Grove and told them, hey, You really helped me out, and you should appreciate it. But there were just some small things in this book that I didn't really enjoy or was just kind of like about it. So that's why it's not my favorite from this series. That's why The Hidden Oracle is still number 1 for me. This one comes in at number 2, pretty close second. Then I would say, really hard to call which one's number 3. It would either be Burning Maze or Tyrant's Tomb. Burning Maze is just very, very sad, but it was very, very well written. I thought Rick did a very good job with that book, but it's just very sad. Like, I don't think I'll ever reread that book. But Dark Prophecy is my least favorite, and it was mostly just because I had a lot of high expectations for that book with Khaleo, and it just like didn't go there. And then that was the first book in this series that made me realize that the future I had pictured for the Seven and everyone else at the end of Heroes of Olympus was not going to happen, because Leo and Calypso wanted to stay at Way Station, and I was like, excuse me, you're supposed to like go to camp? What's going on? What are you doing? What is this? And then the next book, Jason died. So it's like, wow, all of the futures I had planned for them just went out the window. That's fine. I only cried for like 2 days. So yeah, that's where my book rankings stand for The Trials of Apollo. Also want to point out that this book was very dark and very graphic. Like, Lou got her hands chopped off. I was very traumatized by that. That's literally like the most graphic I think Rick Riordan books have ever gone. They've said some pretty graphics. Like, Jason Grace's death was not pretty, but it also, like, I think I was in so much shock when that happened that I didn't really view it as graphic, more as tragic. But yeah, this book, the series, really, this is the darkest Rick Riordan series I think I've read, in my opinion. Just the whole learn about your mistakes, become human. Becoming human means going through a lot of shit, okay? And that means a lot of tragedies. So that's what this series had in it. Really sad stuff. There was the whole, like, Meg was abused. There was Jason Grace's death. There was Lou getting her hands chopped off, and like, that's just a few of what happened in this series. I know Tartarus was dark for the Heroes of Olympus, but like, I never really viewed it as dark as some people did. They did point out that Nico does have PTSD from it, which I was very surprised to read that, because in an interview with Rick, someone asked him if Percy and Annabeth were having like a lot of nightmares after the whole Tartarus thing, and he said they're not as shaken from that as you'd think they are, because they're demigods and they're very like flexible. Like, they can bounce back from a lot of things that you would think normal people like definitely can't cope with as well, but because they are demigods, they're more fit into that warrior lifestyle. So I thought that meant like, oh, no PTSD? I mean, I'm sure they're still like, oh my god, yeah, I'm never going to that place again, and have the occasional nightmare, but like, for him to be so just like straightforward with it and have Will say, oh yeah, Nico has PTSD, I was like, so yeah, that's fun. Anyway, on to the actual characters. Starting with Apollo, he's grown so much since The Hidden Oracle. In The Hidden Oracle, I could tell that there was already a change happening. It's not nearly as significant as when you compare it to at the beginning of The Hidden Oracle and then at the end of the Tower of Nero. But it was just little things like, you know, at the end of The Hidden Oracle, when he was like, oh, I just like kind of want to sit around the campfire and talk with everyone and, you know, just hang out with my kids. And that's what he actually ended up doing at the end of this book, when he went back to visit Camp Half-Blood and he sat around the campfire with Rachel and Nico and Will, which again ties back to my whole thing where Rick Riordan makes a lot of references to past things in his other books that you kind of pick up on and you're like, wow! It's symbolic! So yeah, Apollo's grown a lot. Just the whole thing with not wanting to go to Percy Jackson's apartment alone is enough for you to see how much his character has grown. And you can tell that he really will remember being human and that this is something that will affect him forever. It's very, very, very touching, really, to see that growth. I'm very proud of him. Good job, Apollo. Someone in the comment section for my 7 Things video said that they hope that Apollo becomes the new camp director and replaces Dionysus, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's actually a really good idea. So I was kind of hoping it would happen in this book. And then it didn't. He basically is a camp director though, because you know he's going to go back a lot and talk with everyone and visit with them and teach them things. So, I mean, at this point, he basically is. I totally called him becoming a god again. Some people were like, yeah, he's not going to become a god again. If you don't think sad stuff is going to happen in this book, you're totally wrong. And I was just like, yeah, no, I don't think so. It's a middle grade book series. Like, I was just saying how graphic I think it was, but even that is very mellow compared to other things that are written that I've read. Like, The Hunger Games? Some people I heard just around the internet were thinking that Apollo was going to die, like, permanently and sacrifice himself for Megan. I'm like, you're insane. That's not going to happen. He's going to become a god again. And he did. And I was like, if he is going to die, he will die and then that will restore his godhood. And look what happened. He was like, yeah, I'm not alive anymore. Don't know if I'd call myself dead either. I'm just kind of like floating in existence. His essence is just kind of like at the edge of chaos. And then he became a god again. And I'm like, yeah, that's basically what I thought would happen. So, you know, called that one. Don't want to say I told you so, but I told you so. Also, Apollo basically proved to me that what the series has already proved throughout all 15 of these Camp Half-Blood books is that the gods really honestly do suck. I was always like, well, I mean, Athena's pretty chill, except for that one time when she had split personality disorder. And then, yeah, Artemis, like, doesn't get along with her brother, but she's pretty chill. Honestly, Artemis is the best one out of all of them after this book, like, because she was willing to like be kind to Apollo and everything, and yeah, he is her brother, but all the others in the throne room were kind of being like jerks, and yeah, forget them, you know, just stick with Apollo and Artemis. Now, Meg. Meg, I really like her character. My mom actually will call her crotch-kicking McCaffrey because of the first book. We love Meg. Meg is my favorite character, but I really like her. She's gone through so much, and I'm so proud of her for overcoming that abuse that she had to deal with and the unstable mentality that she's had for years. Being in a toxic relationship, no matter like what that kind of relationship is just so bad, and it's so hard to get out of, and I'm just very, very proud of her for being able to break that and kind of start over. Sometimes you need an outside perspective to help you get to where you need to be, even if it's just like talking to someone. Even if you think like, oh, I'm not that close with this person, if you think they can help you, just try. For Meg, that was Apollo. She got him. He was an outsider looking in, and he was able to help her heal and overcome that mentality and that abuse. And I'm just, oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm super proud of Meg. I love her spunk. I love how she would shout like no spoilers at the beginning of the series, because that's totally me with everything. I actually saw 3 spoilers for this book before I read it. Technically 4, but the 4th one ended up not happening in any way, shape, or form the way that I thought it would. First one was that everyone lives, because someone commented spoiler on my 7 Things video, even though I had the book yet and even started reading it or anything, and I was like, wow, thanks, but I was expecting everyone to live. Another one was that Will glowed, and that wasn't even that it was directly spoiled for me. I just saw on YouTube Trials of Apollo TikToks because Will is Nico's glow-in-the-dark boyfriend, and I was like, wait, do not tell me Will Solace actually glows in the dark and that's not just like some weird phrase you're making up. Yeah, that happened. And then also, even though I hadn't looked at Percy Jackson stuff on Pinterest in weeks because I was purposely trying to avoid this, fan art of Solange actually popped up on my feed of Will and Nico in their hats during the troglodyte arc in this book, and I was like, yeah, Will Solace glows in the dark. Okay, cool. Rapunzel. The third thing I was spoiled on was Piper, and it was still when I was following Rick's account, and then I briefly unfollowed him because I almost saw the art that was in this limited edition book. It's upside down. It showed the art that was in this book. He put it on Twitter, and I was like, great, now I have to unfollow you because I literally can't see that. Check out my unboxing video if you haven't already that shows everything that's in this book. You want to see me cry over Rick's dedication to his wonderful wife, Becky, you can also check that out. But Rick made a tweet about Piper I say Rick, I really mean Ashley because Ashley is running Rick's account right now. So there was a tweet and someone had asked him about Piper during the Trials of Apollo book tour for the Tower of Nero. He was like, yeah, you get to find out about Piper's whole love thing. So like I got kind of spoiled. Oh, he sees Piper again, but then I was also like, well, he did say we would tie up all the loose ends, so I would hope that we get to hear something about Piper. And then the other thing was that Rick said something about Percy turning 18. And then we weren't even in August in this book, and I'm like, did you mean going off to college? Yeah, so I mean, those were spoilers I saw, but wow, that was a long tangent just for me to say, I really like Meg Spunk. She's great. I love her personality. I love how she just like will randomly do cartwheels. I love how she was just like, I want a unicorn at the end, even though Apollo was trying to be all like sentimental. She's great. Great character, great plot and arc, everything about it. I loved it. Don't know if we'll see her in any of the side books that Rick might write one day, but we'll see. Anyway, let's move on to the Jackson/Blowfist family because, oh my god, Estelle Blowfist is the cutest thing that's ever happened to this fandom since Solangelo became canon. Like, oh my god, she's so cute. She's just like a happy little baby, and Apollo's like, she's gonna rule the world one day and I'll be okay with it. I'm glad we got to see Paul again because he wasn't in the Hidden Oracle when we saw Sally when she was still pregnant. Seeing Paul and Sally one last time, that was really nice because we know that like they're doing okay and they're new parents and they're living their best life, really. I love to talk about how Percy really like struggled with school because like he completely missed his entire junior year and it was really hard for him to get back into school, so he had to work really hard for his diploma. It really just gives a sense of like the reality part that demigods also have to deal with in addition to all the myths and chaos. Shout out to Percy for graduating on time and everything. Like, I know how it feels. You get that diploma and you're like, I'm never looking back. I hated this so much. Having him visit the Jackson household really brought in line the plot of the Riordan universe because I was a little confused about it. Like, I tried to keep up best I can with the plot lines in between the series, but there was still some things that didn't line up because I was like, okay, how does Apollo free the silent god in the Tyrant's Tomb, which frees communication, and come all the way to Camp Half-Blood, but Annabeth doesn't find out about Jason until she gets back to Camp Jupiter? What? So, explained. Her, Percy, and Grover went on a road trip to Camp Jupiter before that fixed communication could reach Camp Half-Blood, so they were completely clueless going to Camp Jupiter. And I was like, it all makes sense now. That's why at the end of The Ship of the Dead, the last Magnus Chase book, when Magnus calls his cousin Annabeth because he's a good cousin, she's crying on the phone saying that they found out some bad news when they got to San Francisco. And then that also explains why Percy is with her during that phone call because he talks in the background of that phone call. Grover wasn't present though. Like, did he leave after they got there and like he's like, all right, I'm heading back, peace out? Rick touched on everyone like except Grover, and then also Hedge and Millie, like they're just completely like not mentioned at all. I mean, Grover is mentioned, but Hedge and Millie, like I thought they were with Piper, and then when he went to see Piper, no, whatever. It's fine. We know they're doing okay, so I guess that's all that matters. So yeah, I really liked that explanation, and it really gave a moment of clarity for me for the timeline of these series because I really like keeping track of that stuff, and I think it's just very interesting because it shows how connected everything in the Riordan verse is. Okay, next is talking about camp. I already said that I wish we'd had more time at camp, but specifically, I didn't expect Dionysus to be back, and he is. I was like, I thought all gods like had stopped communication like just during Apollo's time. I know Dionysus is serving out his punishment as camp director, but I thought that he was stopping that while Apollo was mortal, but I guess not. So that was interesting. And also he said Chiron was having a meeting with a cat and a severed head. Y'all know what that means, right? Please tell me you know what that means. Oh my gods. Okay. Mimir, the severed head from Norse mythology that's in Magnus Chase, and then Bast, the cat goddess from Egyptian mythology, from the King Chronicles. Chiron was having a meeting with them. Okay, so they all lead certain parts of each universe or mythology. Mimir isn't really involved with Magnus specifically, but he does have like a lot of resources. And then Bast has a tight connection with the House of Life in the King Chronicles. So the fact that Chiron, who leads all the demigods at Camp Half-Blood, was having a meeting with them is like, okay, what were they discussing? Because he said it was a mutual problem. So for me, I'm assuming that that means, based on the timeline, if I'm keeping everything straight, Loki? For specifically Norse mythology, because Apollo being mortal is, yeah, a problem, but that's really super specific to just the Greek side of things. You bring in the whole, like, yeah, Nero was gonna burn down New York and stuff, but that's just like one city. Loki was bringing on Ragnarok, which is the end of the world. Apollo was just like, and you save New York, like, that's very minimal compared to the 9 realms from Norse mythology. I don't know if that's what they were actually discussing. They could have been discussing something completely different, and Rick could be like, oh, maybe I'll write like a side book about one day, because he said he's done with the big series for the Camp Half-Blood Chronicles. So I know it's not going to be some like 5-novel like adventure triple crossover. So that kind of sucks. Like, oh, I really want to know what they were talking about. It was probably Loki, because him bringing on Ragnarok thing was happening about the same time as this was in the Magnus Chase series. That's what the whole last book is about, the Ship of the Dead. A lot of stuff going on. We haven't seen the Canes in a long time in this universe, but Rachel did say that she lives next to the House of Life mansion in Brooklyn. Like, y'all, please tell me y'all caught that. She's like, yeah, I saw a penguin out on their like back porch. And I'm like, you know, that's Felix's penguins. He's Egyptian, but he follows the ice path, and it's like so funny. He has an army of penguins. The small child has an army of penguins in the Egyptian mythology book series, and I absolutely love it. And so Rachel's like, why can't y'all see the mansion? And they're like, missed. Yeah, so Chiron's meeting might lead to a side book. Don't know. If it's not about Loki, there's a possibility that something else is going on, and we might get to see it someday, so you never know. Now I want to talk a little bit about Lulu. Lulu was a very, very good character. I expected her to die, honestly, but then she got her hands chopped off, and I was like, okay, no, that's probably going to be as bad as it gets, because Rick isn't going to chop a character's hands off and then kill them. Like, that's ridiculous, because she got her hands chopped off and then lived. Like, if that had killed her, like, that's a different story, but no, like, she lived after that. So what a warrior, what a queen. Like, come on. I really liked her character. I liked how she knew deep down what was right. I liked how she had that close relationship with Meg. I love how at the end she ended up staying with Meg and the other Imperial kids to like look after them and kind of raise them. I don't know. She's there looking out for them, and I think it's so sweet, and I'm really glad that she got a happy ending. And she traded away her immortality, and I thought maybe that Apollo was going to go that route, and I was like, oh my god, are we actually doing this? Because I really like didn't think we were gonna go this route. And then she was like, no, I'm gonna trade my immortality, and I'm like, okay, yeah, we're not. But her getting her hands chopped off was like really graphic, and I was like, girl, you're such a queen. Oh my god. Really love her. Love how she got art in the limited edition version. That was really cool. Okay, y'all. It's time. It is time to talk about Solangelo. Oh my god. They have risen to be my favorite couple in the Rick Riordan universe, period. It was Cleo. I really like their story, but after this last, oh my gosh, no, Solangelo, they've taken it. I was really upset they didn't get the kiss that I thought they were going to have, because like I knew there was going to be a lot of Solangelo in this book, and I was like, they're the only main couple that hasn't had a kiss yet, and like, can you feed us content, Rick, please? But like I said in my reading vlog, I saw a thing once. Someone said, if you really like a couple in media, whether it be like movies, TV shows, books, whatever, and you have to see them kiss to know that they're in love and really care for each other, then they're not well written. Because if they do love each other and if they really care for each other, then you don't need them to kiss to know that. You just know it. And I feel like that's Solangelo. I think that's really speaks to them, like, especially after this book. You know how much they care about each other. You know they do anything for one another. And they're just so cute. They're kind of argumentative, but like in a cute way. Nico will be like, sorry, he really likes Star Wars. And then we'll be like, well, you like Mythomagic. It's just like really cute. And then Apollo like hardcore ships them, and I'm like, yes sir, let's go. Can we talk about how Will's full name is William Andrew Solace? And Nico just like calls him that and is like, do you have something you want to confess to me? We've never got a middle name from a character ever besides Reyna. We don't even know Percy's middle name. And then Nico just pulls out William Andrew Solace, and I was like, okay, that's all I need in this world. You can stop right now. And he has a sun tattoo, like, in the state I live in, you can't get tattoos until you're 18, and so I was just like, oh my god, he has a oh yeah, he's 16. In other states, you can get a tattoo if you're 16. I was not expecting Will to have one. Like, if anyone was gonna get tattoos, it was gonna be Nico, but I mean, I don't know if Nico does. He might. Alex Fierro in Magnus Chase had a tattoo on the back of her neck. So, not the first time a Rick Riordan character has had a tattoo, obviously, but it was just very, like, jarring. I was like, sir, you have this tattoo of the sun, which Apollo points out is, like, kind of useless, because you look at Will and you're automatically like, you're a son of Apollo. No doubt about it. And then he's like, well, I'm gonna get a sun tattoo anyway. My heart, I need fan art of it. Now, anytime I see fan art of, like, the characters, like, in swimsuits or something, and Will doesn't have a sun tattoo, I'm just gonna be like, yeah, that's not accurate. Also, he glows. Will Solace glows like Rapunzel from Tangled. And there are so many headcanons about it because he's a healer and Rapunzel can heal with her hair when it glows. And I was just like, yeah, that's really funny, guys. And then he started glowing in this book and I was like, I'm done. Yeah, I was kind of spoiled on that, like I said earlier, but Will and Nico are so cute. I love how they just like will squeeze each other's hands if something unsettling is happening. Like at breakfast, Will squeezed Nico's hand when he was like turning the apple all wrinkly and he was like, stop it, it's okay. And then at the troglodytes, Will was the one that like needed comforting because he was like, oh my god, we're gonna die. And Nico squeezed his hand. He's like, I'll be right back, it'll be okay. And then left it. I was just like, y'all are so cute. My two favorite lines from this book come from them. One is just Nico saying Will's full name. Like, I was like, this is all I need ever. And then I loved the line when Nero like backhanded Nico and threw him like into a marble pillar. The doors had already been burst through because of Nico, but like Will comes to the entrance and he's just like glowing. And he's just like, no one hits my boyfriend. And I was like, I love you. I love Nico. I love your relationship. Oh my god. He was like, I need to heal him. And it was just like, out of the way to the monsters. He was like, don't mess with me and my boyfriend. I need to heal him because he got injured and y'all can't touch him. He's mine. Also, don't kill my dad. Oh my god. Yes. Sunshine Boy. Also, Rick totally set up for a side book with them. And please? He's said multiple times now, I think I've seen it like 3 different times, that a single standalone book just about Will or Nico is not out of the realm of possibility because he's willing to like revisit this world at some point and write a standalone novel about like a single character or a single journey. In this book, he totally set up for one. Basically, if he were to write a book about Solangelo, it would be Will and Nico going into Tartarus to try and find Bob, the Titan from Heroes of Olympus. Will is not excited about it in any way, shape, or form, but what's she gonna do, Solace? Leave your boyfriend to go back to Tartarus alone when he has PTSD? Yeah, I don't think so. And he's probably like, over my dead body, I'm going with you. Even though Apollo's horrified that Will would ever go into Tartarus. Yes, so that's what the Solangelo book would be about. Oh my god, so we'd probably get a kiss in that book. If we didn't, I wouldn't even know what to say. I'm not expecting that to be a thing anytime soon. If he were to write it, it probably won't even be published or announced for another 2 years because he's really focusing on the adaptations right now. We'll just have to stay by. Follow Rick on Twitter. Honestly, that's the fastest way to get updates about any of his projects is just, if you can get a Twitter and follow Rick Riordan. Or his wife. Becky also has a Twitter account. It's at Camp Half-Blood, which used to be Rick's Twitter handle, but now Rick's Twitter handle is at Rick Riordan. So yeah, Solangelo really just took the cherry on top in this book. I thought they were very well written. I thought that their dynamic was great. At the end, when Will had his arm around Nico and then Nico just really snuggled into him, I was like going, oh, I'm gonna die. Also, Will carries around a pillow just for Nico when he needs naps from shadow traveling. Like, Sir, my heart. I really expected Apollo to make some joke about it, like, yeah, when you get married someday, because I could totally picture him teasing him about that, but then it didn't happen. Also, speaking of kids of Apollo, I wish we had seen a little more of Kayla and Austin in this book, but I mean, we still saw them like a pretty decent amount, especially when you consider that other campers from the Hidden Oracle weren't even mentioned. If anyone was going to die in this book, I was expecting it to maybe be one of them, because I didn't think Rick would even touch Will or Nico. But then no one ended up dying, so like it was great, except Apollo. But I mean, it was still great to see them fight, see them talk to Apollo, just really be like, hey, I appreciate like you actually are getting to know us and stuff. And he's like, yes, my children. The troglodytes were great. I loved the little bit with like Apollo getting that crystal ball for that kid and then really making sure that he gave it back. I loved their whole like underground setup. It kind of reminded me of the Underland Chronicles by Susan Collins. Susan? Is it Susan or Suzanne? I've never been sure about that, but the author of The Hunger Games also wrote this other series. The first book is called Gregor the Overlander. It's about people that live underground. They're accidentally discovered by this boy, and then there's like this whole like prophecy. Yeah, it's a really good series. Okay, anyway, the troglodytes were great. Their hats were so cute. The whole Mets joke was like, I thought was really funny. I do not live in New York, but he was like, I don't understand why people are so upset about this. And I'm like, I don't either. That's why this is funny. Okay, next, Rachel. Rachel not only lives next to Carter and Sadie Kane, she kicked some butt in this book. And I love how she was like, yeah, Apollo, can you like tell me that I did good? Because like I did, and I'm also fighting Python in my head. Give me some credit. I'm really glad we got to see her again. We never really got much of her really at all. I feel like yeah, she's pretty prevalent in Percy Jackson and the Olympians, but in Heroes of Olympus, she's barely there. She's in The Lost Hero. She's mentioned in like dream sequences and like flashbacks in other books. Seeing her play like a really big part was really refreshing to see that. And then also another thing that I mentioned earlier, bringing it back full circle, Rick Riordan literally had her throw a blue plastic hairbrush and nail an enemy in the eye. Like, you can't make this stuff up. One of the biggest Percy Jackson tropes that there is literally happened in this book. It's like, what's next, a damn joke? That was so great. I was laughing so hard, and my mom was like, don't tell me anything, I'm not done reading. Rachel Elizabeth Dare, you're awesome. I hope you have fun in Paris during your gap year. Changing to kind of a sadder subject, I was hoping for a closure thing with Jason Grace. It happened in a very similar way to what I pictured would happen if it did happen. I thought Apollo would have to go to the underworld to talk to the goddess of the river Styx and make up about his oath. And then while he was down there, I thought, oh, maybe he'll see Jason. But that didn't happen. He did see the goddess of the river Styx in Tartarus, well, on the edge of chaos. And that moment was honestly like very mellow to me compared to what like I thought it would be. But I also just had no clue what was going to happen with that, because how do you like punish him further for breaking this oath? She was basically like, did you learn from your lesson? And he was like, yeah, and I'm still learning. Yeah, that was the end of that. He saw Jason in a dream that he had after he healed Lou. I was hoping we would get closure and a conversation with Jason, basically him telling us that he is okay and he is at peace with what he did, and he knows that like maybe one day he'll see everyone else again, but he hopes that they're doing good. It's okay. I'm okay, so like they can be okay. That's basically what happened. What really hit me hard was when Apollo was like, we miss you, and he was like, I miss you too, all of you. Oh my god, so it was a very, very touching moment. I love that he helped him out when this time. He was able to tell him, I'm at peace with my decision. Nico had sensed his death, which was something I suspected because in the Blood of Olympus, he sensed Leo's death, and he was better friends with Jason, so I kind of picked up on that. So at the beginning of the book, Nico is upset because Apollo confirms Jason's death, but then at the end, he says, I'm sure Jason is at peace with the decision that he made, so I need to be okay with that too. And then it just like shows you he and everyone else, they knew Jason enough to know that he is at peace, even though he only specifically told Apollo that. Now they can move on and be happy. I thought that was a really beautiful moment. It made me cry, like, oh my gosh. I was very glad that we got that. It was actually one of my predictions that came true. Yeah, Artemis was being such a good sister to him, and I love how Apollo just cried into her shoulder and was like, I'm so happy to see you. It really affected him, and the whole thing with him not having any scars and him being like, I need scars, like I earned those, you know? I don't want laurel wreaths or anything. I want my old body back. He did change form, like when he went to see everyone at the end. The Timisian fox was another thing that I brought up in my 7 expectations video. Rick had written that into conversation so many times throughout this series that I thought it might play a role at some point, but it ended up not. That was one of the ones where I was like, it might happen, it might not, like, I don't know. That fox, basically the myth is that like it can never be captured, so then they found a dog that can chase its prey forever, so it just became an endless cycle. So that's what the hunters of Artemis are currently hunting. So then when he went to the way station, they were staying there, they brought up the fox again, and I was like, okay, well, at least they mentioned it again and didn't just leave that completely open. I was very, very upset that we didn't see Calypso at all, because the way we left off, she was totally like trying to remaster her magic, and I thought that was going to be important and like play a role in something, and then it was just like, oh yeah, now she's at band camp, and I'm like, that's great, but like also not important at all to like anything going on. Like I'm super happy that she's happy living a normal life. It's everything I would want for her, but also I wanted to see her like use her magic and like kick some butt. We did get to see Leo. He does have a heart of gold, like Raina said. I love how she's older sister role model figure to Leo. I love how he calls Joe mom. That's warms my heart. Also, Georgina, it never said if she was Apollo's daughter or not, and I thought that was really weird because I really thought that would be resolved, and it wasn't. I thought Rick was gonna tie up a bunch of loose ends, and now like here I am counting the loose ends that I'm finding. I know Rick likes to leave a lot of things open, which is why he doesn't write epilogues, so it's not unexpected. I just was kind of hoping for a little bit more. Hence, again, why this book isn't my favorite one. But yeah, Leo has a heart of gold. That's why he's my favorite of the 7. I love Leo Valdez. I think he's so great. I love that Hazel and Frank can now relax. They've been through so much. Her curse, Frank's fire stick thing, like, oh my god. So now they're just kind of like, we're free. Let's roll this Roman camp and kick some butt. And I'm like, you go. You build those shrines in honor of Jason because that was his plan and he never got to carry it out because he died. So we finally got to see Annabeth in person, which is another thing I was expecting, but it didn't happen the way I thought it would. I thought maybe the 7 would come into battle and help fight, but they didn't. The only one close to the 7 that fought in that battle was Nico, but he wasn't like part of the 7 like prophecy. He's not one of them. He's pretty darn close. He narrates in the Blood of Olympus. Him and Raina have perspectives, but I understand why Rick did this because they already had their moments to shine. They had the whole entire Heroes of Olympus. This series was about Apollo. It was about Meg. It was about their allies specifically. And yeah, we got to see each of the 7, but that was only like when they were really needed, not, it's the final battle. Let's bring everyone back, like, at the end of Avengers. Like, no, that's not how Rick does things, really. And that ties back into when the Heroes of Olympus ended. Some people were upset that Percy and Annabeth didn't have perspectives in the Blood of Olympus. I'm like, they already, like, had a lot of time to do things. And also, it ties back into, like, the first book was just Jason, Piper, and Leo. And then the last book was Jason, Piper, and Leo. Also Nico and Raina, but that's because we needed their perspectives to know what was happening with their plot points. Percy and Annabeth had already had their time to shine. Everyone already loved them. They needed to step down, let the others take over, and lead the way. That's basically what happened in this book, so I understand why Rick didn't do that, but I just thought it would be really cool because, like, I thought maybe Annabeth would come in and do some, like, awesome fighting. I thought Percy would come in and do some fighting. I thought Leo would come in writing on Festus, and then Calypso would use her magic. I thought all that would happen, and then it didn't, and I was like, oh, okay. But I still loved the battle at the tower. It was very, very well written, played out great. Oh my god, Nico's entrance with that skeletal bull, and then Will's entrance when Nico got backhanded. Chef's kiss. I thought Percy would have a birthday party this is really weird, but like Rick made that tweet about Percy turning 18, and I was like, oh, he probably has a birthday party, and then we didn't even reach August, and I was like, what is the point in this, sir? I thought we would see everyone together at Camp Half-Blood for Percy's birthday, but then that didn't happen, so. Also, I thought maybe Magnus might make a cameo or be mentioned, and then he wasn't mentioned at all. That was also very disappointing because in the Magnus Chase books, it really kind of set up like we know he's visiting Annabeth in the side book 9 from the 9 Worlds. But then this book ended up ending before that side book came out, so the timeline wouldn't add up. But I was still hoping like maybe a mention. Okay, the Piper thing. Piper's love life resolution really surprised me, but it was also not surprising, if that makes any sense. Like, I didn't expect her to just full on be like starting a relationship with a new person who also happens to be female. It just honestly, like, I feel like pretty quickly after Jason's death, but also like her and Jason hadn't been dating when we met back up with them in the Burning Maze. So like it makes sense. I mean, it doesn't like surprise me that Piper could be bisexual or anything like that. I think it's just the whole thought of like her just being in a relationship in general was what surprised me. I thought like it might hint at her having a crush on someone, but no, she's just straight up at someone else and was starting over, and I was like, okay, like good for you. I just wasn't expecting that. So yeah, okay, cool. Still low-key upset that they can't use cell phones because the Magnus Chase characters can use cell phones and the magicians in the King Chronicles can use cell phones, but the demigods can't, and it just really annoys me. And there were several points in this book where Apollo said, yeah, it's too dangerous for demigods to use cell phones, and I'm like, I thought that would be resolved since Harpocrates was freed and everything, and okay, I guess not. It's fine. Overall, this book was very well written. Bit fast-paced in the beginning, like I said, but very, very, very well written. I credit the end, literally not even until like the last page when Apollo was like, if you ever need me, I'm here. I'm your friend. It was a satisfying ending, but like because there were some parts with characters that like I wasn't expecting, I was hoping for a little more, wasn't as satisfying as I feel like Rick hyped it up to be, because he was like, oh yeah, I think I tied off all the loose ends nice, and like people can expect to be satisfied with how these characters' stories end. And I'm like, I didn't see Calypso. I hate this. So yeah, satisfying in the sense that we know that who is left is alive, and for the most part, very, very happy, and they're continuing their lives and they're doing their thing. Oh, this series has been going on for about like 5.5 years. It's been a wild ride. I remember reading The Hidden Oracle during my geometry final in high school and just being like, this is the best thing I've ever read. The series was, in my opinion, the most serious and darkest of the Rick Riordan books, but it was very well written, and the plot was good, the characters were good, humor on point like always. Thank you, Rick, for these amazing stories. I love them so much. Y'all let me know what you thought of this book. Like, let's discuss. I love talking to y'all in the comment section. I just love this series and Rick's books, so like, let's talk. Everyone, that is it for this book review. We might get a Solangelo side book someday. It's really looking like it'll happen, but Rick, as of right now, he's really focused on the adaptations, which I think is great. I can't wait for those to get off the ground. I wouldn't be who I am today without these books. They've really just like become such a big part of my life. Beautiful ending to a beautiful series and a beautiful world that Rick has built for us over the years. I'm just so like proud of everything that all the characters have accomplished and everything that Rick has accomplished, and I don't think it's the end. Like, I think we'll still get content, but as for big series, like, yeah, it's over, but it's not. We have the shows, we have possible side books, we might have like short stories. It's going to be amazing. Everyone, please stay safe, stay healthy, and please be kind to each other.